There are babies born on October 5th that have never seen the Wisconsin Badgers score a point. This offense is offensive. We got to talk about it.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, coming to you live after the Ohio State game. Ohio State total domination. The number one team in the country comes in and looks like it. And the 2-4 Wisconsin Badgers they look like it too. And we're going to talk about all that today's episode of Locked On Badgers. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. If you bet wins, you get $300 to use across the app. Download the app today. Today's episode, recapping the game, good, bad, ugly. What's next? Your thoughts, your comments, all of that. Guys, before we even do good, bad, and ugly, Justin, initial thoughts.
We talked about it before we came on. I said this is pretty much what I expected. I expected the offense to remain poor. I will say I thought that they played hard in this game for the bulk of the game. But execution still is not great on either side. Mostly in the secondary on the defensive side. And on the offensive side, it's just not good enough. And at some point you look and you see sparks. Like, I think there are guys who are actually pretty talented on offense. Like, I think Mason is a talented tight end that we are really wasting his senior year, because I think there's some tools there for him to have a really good season for a better team. And it's so hard to watch this and be like, there's a lack of execution. It feels like there's a lack of development to an extent. And it feels like, up until this game, I would have said last week, I thought there was a lack of effort. I felt like the effort was better this week, at least.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Luke Fickell talked about heart, competitive spirit. I think the only person that didn't show that was Luke Fickell, which I'm sure we'll get into because I have some thoughts on the end of the first half, but a lot of fight. I mean, honestly, I thought in the first half of this game, we saw a better overall team performance than we saw in Maryland and Iowa combined, just because there was effort, there was tenacity, there was fight, there was heart. So I appreciate some of that stuff. And I think the defense overall, obviously we're playing up against, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, some of the best offense one in the country. And at times, I think the defense held their own at times. That's really all I can say. I think that there were good performances. There was some hard play. It didn't finish as bad as I thought it was. But the offense is one of the worst offenses I think we've probably ever had, like in pre-Don Morton era, maybe. I mean, this is really, really bad offensively. But all we can do is try to keep going. And I think some of the young guys fought hard, which I appreciate.
The offense is so bad. I mean, that's my initial thoughts. I just want to lead off there. Like, for years, as a Badger fan, we'd watch Purdue or some of the schools, and I always wondered, like, how did fans watch this for 60 minutes? And we were spoiled. We were Wisconsin fans. And now I'm watching this with my son, and I can see that, they don't. Because my son can take 17 minutes of this, and he wanders off because it's boring. Like, it's just – there's no play on offense. There's no play on offense that at any point in time made me feel like we're capable of doing anything. Let me give you a dramatic read of some of the Badgers' offensive stats. First down, 9. Passing yards, 49. Dude, we haven't scored in 2 weeks. It's insane, man. And there's bad teams, by the way. And I know we're playing Ohio State. This defense is incredible. There's bad teams that score in Ohio State. Ohio State doesn't pitch a shutout every game. It's just insane how bad we are offensively. Let's do the
continue next week, too. Like, we're going to at Oregon. Yeah. We could have 3 straight get shut out 3 consecutive weeks.
Yeah, it could happen. Let's do the good, the mid, and the ugly, with an emphasis on probably the latter two. I will start with the good. I was excited to see some of the young players, honestly. I thought first pass play of the game, Eugene Hilton catches the pass. Of course, in true Badger fashion, we finished 1 yard short of the first down, but it was nice to see him out there. Nicholas Clayton, Cooper Catalano, I thought had some really nice run fits. He was actually playing pretty well. Mason Posta was out there. Kairos Gaines had a nice hit on the sideline. It's certainly not perfect because those young guys are going to make young guy mistakes. But I thought getting a Tuca, I thought ran really hard. And it was garbage time. Yes, I know it. But he ran hard. He ran like he cared. I thought some of the young guys came out and played hard. I thought they played pretty fast, which is what we thought they would do. So to me, the good is seeing some of those young pieces finally start to work themselves onto the field, because that's the biggest part of this regime that we've been excited about, is that young talent. So I'm going to start there with the good.
Yeah, for me, the good was, as you said, Eugene Hilton getting the start. Like, Luke Fickell said last week, if you're not going to play, you're not going to fight, you're not going to play. I appreciate that there were changes made in that regard. So thank you for that. But yeah, Eugene Hilton, nice to see him. I want to say that the O-line is getting a little bit better. Okay, so the O-line, if this O-line in its current form was repped during camp and played the entire season, I think we'd be in a little better spot offensively than we are now. I'm not saying they're good. I'm not saying it's great. We obviously had 0 points, but I think that at times this is a really, really good defense, and the pass pro was okay. Run blocking was not great, but it wasn't horrific. Like the O-line's getting better. This is a small good, but I do want to call it out because I think even we were texting during the game a little bit, and I was like, the O-line doesn't look bad. So I think that is a good for me, and that the five playing out there now are beginning to play a little bit better together. I think Mandel specifically continues to look like he's getting a little bit better. So I appreciate that. And the fake punt, which wasn't really supposed to be a fake punt, but Sean West gets a good too, because not only did that play happen, he was our best running play of the day by far. Actually, it was, by far. He punted the ball really well. That was nice. Like, special teams in general had a pretty good day. I almost got the punt block, so I can't say it was good. But yeah, Sean West, a lot of the young players in the O-line getting a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm going to just say it. I've been super critical of this guy, and he had a heck of a day. So I'm going to go out there and say Ben Barton actually had a really nice game. Yeah. He was a guy who I've been ultra critical of, especially when he took offense to people commenting on the defensive line last year. And he played really hard and was really impressive in this game, disrupting a couple of really big plays where he blew up the play and made some things happen. And I don't think the defensive line was bad in this game. The secondary wasn't good, but the defensive line did a pretty darn good job. Like, they had to earn it running the football for the most part too for Ohio State.
Reiger too. Just speaking of that front seven, Reiger had a couple plays where that dude's an NFL talent. Reiger just whipped a couple of those offensive linemen on from Ohio State. Need more Reigers, but Reiger was good. I think, to me, the mid, it's just I wish we would see a little more adaptation from the coaching staff. I'm going to get to the secondary in a second, but dude, at some point, you just the zone just is so easily picked apart with this team, and very rarely, and I know it's hard to do against Ohio State, but occasionally you do got to just come down and squat on them, blitz a little bit. You have to change it up a little bit. He was just a quarterback doesn't just go 36 of 42 by accident. Like, he's really good, and they have incredible talent. That's insane. That's absolutely insane efficiency. I didn't think Tressel did enough to try to mix a few things up, right? And I think at some point you have to take a few risks. Understand the point was to keep them from breaking big plays, Rajiv and Justin, but at some point they were just picking you apart to death. Play a little, man. Mix it up a little bit. Blitz a little bit. And I just wish they would have done a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I said a similar one. I'll add one more on top of it. But I think that to what you said, like, we were getting picked apart so easily. And our front seven, as we talked about, we're playing pretty well. We got a little bit of pressure. We had some tackles for loss today, which was nice to see. So had you blitzed them a little bit more on some of those, like the 3rd and 15 that ended up being a little bit short, like stuff like that, like you could blitz on that play and make it, especially Sane was stepping up in the pocket every single time. So I know we tried to stunt, didn't work, but if you blitzed with a little stunt around the inside, you could have got him a little bit easier. The other mid for me was Hunter Simmons in general. He didn't have a great game. He had some bad throws, but he also had some pretty good throws that were either didn't get converted, that, it just didn't work out. But I thought that Hunter Simmons, although again, not great, he was a mid for me. I still think he can throw the ball and he can sling it a little bit. Not always put in the best situations as far as I'm concerned with Jeff Grimes. I think there were times when some of the play calling was a little suspect, but given the fact that he's our 3rd string quarterback, I know we haven't scored a point in 2 weeks, so it's hard to say anything mid about the offense, but I do at least appreciate the fact that he's trying. I feel like he's giving it his all, and I think with better play calling, he could have done a little bit better today.
Yeah, I don't really have a mid. I will take that time to say I want to go into the quarterback discussion and just say, if we were to choose 3 random quarterbacks out of the transfer portal, out of a hat, would we be in better or worse condition in our quarterback room than what we are this year? I feel like there's a solid chance we would be in better shape than we've been. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't think any quarterback is put in a great spot to succeed with this offensive line and not be able to run the ball. But Daniel Neal and Hunter Simmons aren't good enough. I think that's also fair. And your best one got hurt. So there was a comment a second ago that just said we don't have a quarterback. That's true. We threw for 49 passing yards today. Like, we can argue about, and Leo says, I'd rather see Daniel Neal instead of Hunter. I think I would too, just because of the mobility. But the reality is it doesn't matter because neither are good enough. Neither Hunter Simmons or Daniel Neal are good enough.
Danny had a really rough throw on that wide open seam route to
Lance Mason. All right, we have a quick second. We're going to come back with our bad, and then we're going to get to your starred comments. We've been doing a kind of round table, which I really love, throwing some of your questions to each of us, plus what comes next. We got a bunch more coming up on today's Locked On Badgers, but we are going to take a quick second for our friends of the show. Appreciate every single person for being here as always. Today's episode brought to you by DoorDash. We're going to talk about who delivered this weekend, and I do think it's Ben Barton. Just like DoorDash delivering every Saturday. Listen, Ben Barton, there was a great comment we had earlier about, of course, I love this comment. Of course, Ben Barton played hard. He's an in-state kid. That's why in-state recruiting matters. They continue to develop. They stay in the program, and they get better because they care. Ben Barton played great today. He looked completely upper-tier Big Ten defense lineman against Ohio State. He was awesome today, and he delivered. He's been delivering all season long, just like DoorDash, delivering streaks for you, saving money. The more you order with DoorDash, the more you're going to save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits with DoorDash Streaks. Order this Saturday, order next Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms do apply. Promo period through 11/18. Today's episode also brought to you by our great friends over at SupplyHouse. They're starting a big project, whether it's electrical, plumbing, HVAC, whatever it is. SupplyHouse is going to get you every single part you need. A lot of handy people I know listen to this podcast. You can use SupplyHouse to help power your business, whatever you're doing forward. Over 280,000 parts from the most trusted brands in the business. Real-time inventory, honest lead times, keeps you from punting projects, which today, that was the best thing we did. Maybe you want to punt your projects. Industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Trademaster perks, priority shipping, dedicated phone support. Right now, join the free Trademaster program today. Score serious perks, priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com for free. Use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your order. Supplyhouse.com, real people, real service. All right, let's come back into this. Rajiv, why don't you start this one off, man? What's your biggest bad out of this? And I think we could all choose a couple different ones, but
yeah, so I'm going to leave the secondary to you guys. I want to talk about the end of the first half. I was furious at the end of the first half, and I think I'm right in this regard. You're down 17 with the ball, a minute 12, 2 timeouts, and you run it into the line 3 times, and you basically concede a punt. All week, Luke Fickell talked about competitive spirit. I want guys out there that want to compete. I want guys who want to push the envelope and who want to be there. And instead, where's his competitive spirit? So what's the worst that can happen? Oh, you go down 24-0 at halftime. You're not going to win this game anyway. You can barely score a point. I want to give my guys a chance to actually do something in the end of the half. Now you go into the locker room and you're like, hey, we're down 2 scores. Maybe we can keep this close. Maybe we can do something. I'm not suggesting we would ever have won, but I think it sends a really bad message to your team when you're basically saying, you know what, I'd rather just run it into the line and then punt the ball down there and so we don't get another score on us rather than giving our guys a chance, which, by the way, again, Hunter Simmons had some decent throws. We have receivers that can show they can at least stretch the field, give some 50-50 balls. Why not try something? You have nothing to lose. I don't like it when I hear all week about the competitive spirit and everything, and he wants his guys to fight. I want him to fight. I thought that was inexcusable. You need to go for it at the end of that first half. I know we're not winning, but come on, fight. Show something, put some faith in your guys to try to go down there and make this a game going into halftime. That is a much better message to talk about. Even if you're down 24-0, at least you can say you believed in your team versus walking in there and saying, well, clearly I didn't believe in you. That's why I just wanted to run it and punt the ball away. I hated that. That's my bad of the game.
I like that. And originally I looked at that decision and said, well, Hunter Simmons isn't going to go down the field and score anyway against this defense. In fact, it's probably more likely he throws a pick than he scores. But I think you phrased that really well. In this game, I would say this. If this was a 10-7 game and Wisconsin was a much better team, I would say punt it. I would say, okay, it makes sense to punt because you could lose the game here. In this situation, I think you're probably dead on. And I just want to contrast it with the fact that you have a guy like Ryan Day, who 4th and 4, I'm going to go for it. 4th and 1 deep in Wisconsin territory, I'm going for it. You have this super aggressive, intelligent, really maniac on the other side. And when you contrast it with the way we played, how passive we are at times, it wants you to rip your hair out because we have so much less to lose. And we still are playing passive. I think you said that really well. Justin, what's your bad? Unless you want to chime in on that part too.
No, I'm good on that. What I would say my bad is the offense in general. We had under 100 yards of offense heading into the fourth quarter, and 20 of that, and we were at like 85 yards, and 20 of it was from a fake punt that wasn't even supposed to happen. I mean, what are we doing? Like the level of incompetence that we have going on right now, and it goes back to coaching. Like this is horrific coaching that we have going on right now that we can't even be like, I don't even want to say average, but like we can't even be substandard at this point. Like this is just awful. We didn't make it to 200 yards of total offense in this game. And we probably held the ball a fair amount in it. I mean, we saw it. We didn't even get to 100 yards passing. That's pathetic.
We get to under 50 yards passing.
Yeah. Not even close to under 49, Justin, or to 100.
Like this is, I mean, seriously, that is Iowa with what's his name starting? The former Badger quarterback.
Deacon Hill. No,
Deacon Hill.
This is worse than that. Like this is.
I know, but they had a game where he only had like 50 yards passing too. It's like we're the only two teams that I've ever seen it. You know what the difference is? Iowa can run the damn ball. They can actually do things yet when things aren't working with the passing game. We can't do either. We're just
Can I just add on to that really quickly? In the Big Ten, we are averaging 5 points a game. We are averaging 5
and that's likely to continue to drop.
That is literally beyond imagination. I mean, I don't think I would have ever seen that ever. I mean, I would have bet $1 million that it would ever happen to our team. Like, where have we gone?
I had no argument there, Justin. That's my bad too. I mean, I already talked about pass coverage a little bit. I think we're outmanned there. I also don't think Tressel does that group any real service at times. Like I just think we don't adapt and we stay in our shell too often. But dude, the bad is the offense. The bad is 100% the offense.
He's not exactly a mad scientist in his defensive scheme. Like I don't think he really makes the offenses work with his defensive calls.
I think he's okay, but again, that's not my bad. The bad is the offense. You hung another goose egg. You had 49 passing yards. This is absolutely I don't have words for it, man. I mean, my son is literally just watching, and he asked me, like, Dad, are they going to score? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, maybe.
Probably not, son.
Can I ask you guys, like, what do you think happens in this game or in the last few games if Braden Locke is our quarterback?
If Braden Locke
I don't think that changes anything.
Now with this offensive line, nothing changes. With this offensive line in this running game, because I think he's in the same tier as Danny O'Neal. I think he's that tier quarterback. And again, I think the bigger issue here is you have substandard backup quarterbacks paired with a bad offensive line and a non-existent running game and an offensive coordinator. So it's bigger than the quarterback. Now, I will say this: if you have a better quarterback elevates some of this, right? A better quarterback does a little bit more. You're not shut out if you have Billy Edwards, in my opinion. You're probably not shut out if you have Tyler Van Dyke, in my opinion. But you're not scoring much either. I just wonder going forward. Actually, let me ask you guys this, and in the chat too. Who's the biggest? What part? Whether it's injury, scheme, Fickle, Grimes, recruiting, development. What's the biggest reason this offense is so bad? Where'd you lay the primary amount of blame for this?
I think the offensive line is the easy answer. I think without them being functionally or solid, it takes so much away from what you actually want to do. Like if you can't run the football, it basically it doesn't matter what you want to do in the passing game. There's nothing that the defense has to worry about other than basically just sitting in zone and attacking you.
Yeah, I agree. It's the offensive line. And I do think that the fact that we've had horrific luck with quarterbacks. I mean, they said it multiple times on the broadcast. Oh, they're starting their third string quarterback, their fourth string running back. Like you're not going to be able to, and this is the number one team in the country. It's clear this is the number one team in the country. So yeah, but I think O-line is where it all starts and ends. Like that's really where the failures are on this offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you have a good offensive line, you're not beating Ohio State, but you are going to move the ball a little bit more. pass protection was pretty solid today, but there's still some big whiffs. All right, let's take up a quick second. We have more friends of the show. We're going to go back. We get your questions next. We got 52 of them already started. We're going to throw them around, whatever else you want to talk about. We have a couple final takes, what's coming next. But first, we have to do a quick break for our friends of the show. And as always, want to say thank you for tuning into Locked On Badgers, being part of this community. As always, we have the same goal. Like, we just want good Badger football. We want competent Badger football. And it's a struggle right now, but don't ever turn on each other. Keep the vibes, at least in the community, good. Also say thank you to Mike Beyond the Mic, who is organizing all the comments, putting comments up on the screen, which allows us to focus more on the content and the conversation. He's giving his time. Make sure you give him a shout, a veteran and a great dude, great Badger fan. So he's behind the scenes. Give Mike a thanks as well. All right, quick second for our friends of the show. And a quick second, as always, say thank you for tuning in. Today's episode brought to you by our incredible friends over at Rugiet. Let's go. Listen, maybe your team has some struggles in the red zone. But that doesn't mean you have to. Take control of your red zone with Rugiet right now. And listen, if you got to blow off some steam, maybe this is the perfect time to do it after this show. Get your Rugiet and get ready. Right now, you've probably heard of Viagra, Cialis. Maybe you even tried some of those pills. Well, this is a perfect time to try something that's beyond the usual pill. It's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Rugiet Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. Unlike this offense, this effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, into the next day for NFL Sunday. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head over to rugiet.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Make sure to use the code so they know that we sent you over there. Today's episode also brought to you by FanDuel. Rajiv crushing it again on your betting show. What do you love FanDuel?
Man, let me first tell you that I'm 3-0 this week. And this is the kind of thing you can get done on FanDuel because you can do in-game stuff. You can do player props. You can do teasers. You can have fantastic parlays. I'm currently about to hit a 14 parlay if things go my way. Georgia just got my way there, so that's big. Yeah, listen, it's a lot of fun, man. This is the best time. You got NFL. You got college. You got everything working right now. You got the baseball playoffs. Sorry, Brewers fans. It's a fantastic time. It's one of the best times in sports, honestly, right now. So why not couple that up with FanDuel, where you can do all your great sports betting? It is fantastic. Yes, let's go.
So what are you waiting for? FanDuel.com, download the app, get started. All right, let's get your questions next. All your starred questions, we're going to hit that next on Locked On Badgers. Right, and Justin typing incredibly loudly.
It's a new
story. This is the story of my life. When you do a show with this guy, it's like he types. He loves to type.
I've done it like 5 times in the last year.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's get some of your star contacts. Again, we're going around the horn on this. So, Justin, your first one, Badger Man 75. There's literally nothing positive to take from this.
I mean, anyone that's been on the Discord today knows that I've been ranting pretty emphatically about this just isn't working. And I agree. What can you really take away from a game that you lose 34-0? Like we're past the point of moral victories with this coaching staff. Real progress is what you have to show, and we're not seeing any of it. It's just where we are. Like this is not acceptable. When you see teams like UCLA, which probably has comparable talent, they do have a better quarterback, but other than the quarterback, which I will acknowledge makes a difference probably in terms of wins, I think we're probably in roughly the same spot as them, and they've been much more competitive than we've been. I mean, it's not close. So at some point you need to look at it and say, your coaching staff's a big part of the problem here. It's not just simple as saying, well, if we throw a few bucks out there and get some new players, you have issues with execution, you have issues with effort at time, you have issues with development, and all of that falls on the coaching staff. So paying a bunch of hired gun mercenaries to come in and thinking that that's going to somehow work is really misguided in my view.
Leo S. Rajiv, Grimes is terrible at play calling.
I mean, I honestly haven't been that impressed with the play calling, and I think that he seems like he's just defeated because he doesn't have a quarterback, and I think that like if Billy Edwards was healthy the whole year, maybe his play calling is better. I just think he's he's calling plays very uninspired. And yeah, I mean, it's terrible right now for sure. He doesn't do his offense any favors. And I think there are at times when even we can be like, God, just throw the ball a little more here. Like, let's see what Hunter Simmons can do. And he doesn't do it. He runs some of the same plays too often. He runs in the wrong spots. I do put this a lot on the fact that we've had quarterback injuries. I think it's a lot better if he has his quarterback. But yeah, I agree with this take. Like, it's been pretty bad.
Badger and Bournemouth. The defense showed up and tried hard today. Offense is as bad as it could ever get. So Badger Bournemouth, good friend of the show, as many of these other people are as well. I want to hit your first part. I didn't think defense was an effort issue today. I truthfully don't think defense was an effort issue. Bro, like Christian Allegro's out there with one hand wrapped up. He looks like an extra in The Mummy. He's out there fighting and getting fired up after stops. Brandon Lane is getting his hands in passing lanes. I thought they were trying. I agree. Now, I will say, just saying those words out loud shows you how low the bar is. I'm like, they're trying really hard. That should be the bare minimum, but I thought they did. All right, so I agree with this. I want to point it out again. I thought the defense was flying around and trying. They're just outclassed on the back end. Schematically, I think it's a little stale, but I thought they played hard, guys.
And I would actually just quickly add on that, Ryan. Sorry, the 34 points against Ohio State. We've given up far more to Ohio State in years past. I'm not saying that I understand they told to pull their charges in the fourth quarter, but their offense was gunning for it the whole time. The defense, you could walk away thinking, okay, the defense wasn't horrible. Given the fact that we have scheme issues, given the fact that our cornerback play is bad, it wasn't horrible.
A ton of 3-and-outs on offense, which puts the defense in bad spots. Again, a couple turnovers. Rajiv, next one here.
I'm sorry. I do want to weigh on that. The defense wasn't like, I don't want to give too much credit here. They gave up over 500 yards of offense. I mean, I know we don't want to just sit here and be totally negative, but the reality is this is not good enough. This is not good enough. If our goal is to even be at, like, average, it's not close to good enough. I don't want to give them. I just want us to be critical of what we're seeing, which is
I don't think anyone's saying it's good enough. I just think that, like, they played a heck of a lot harder today than they did last week against Iowa. Like, I'm going to give them that. I'm going to say, like, the defense played better this week. Ohio State's offense is infinitely better than Iowa's. And this defense played better this week than it did last week. And that's all I'm really saying. Like, it wasn't horrible.
I thought they played bend, but don't break. Listen, again, it's not good enough. If I put this comment back up here, not to go too deep into this, but he just said they showed up and tried hard. I thought they played hard. Yeah. And that's all I'm saying. It's not played well enough, but I thought they played hard, and I thought that was a step. And yes, that is grasping onto small straws here. Rajiv, next comment here from Robert Nichols. Does coaching play a role in so many injuries?
I think a lot of it has been pretty bad luck. I mean, you see ankles getting rolled up on. I mean, you see obviously Billy's knee sprain in camp and Tyler Van Dyke, the quarterback injuries. I don't really think it does. I mean, I know that sometimes when you have like a recurring hamstring problem, you could have some conditioning issues, but I think we've just struck bad luck. And the problem is a lot of teams have luck like this, but they're deep enough to cover it up. We're not deep enough to cover it up. So therefore the injuries are much bigger. And we've had 3 years of our quarterback being injured. That's not normal. And that's just very unlucky in my opinion.
Do you think that has anything to do with like strength and conditioning? Like, we seem to consistently be having some issues here.
I don't. Based on the injuries that we're seeing and the type of injuries, I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really qualified to even speak on that because I don't fully know. I'm not somebody who's studied that in sports medicine and how they could correlate. But when you get guys like, I mean, Trechka Kahuna last week just got smashed in the head. You got people getting rolled up. I mean, Dylan got just hit hard today. Those don't feel like strength and conditioning issues. Those feel like, now I will say this to your point, and I'll throw this out there. I think this is bigger, stronger athletes tend to inflict pain more. Are our guys a little physically not as strong at the point of attack, and that's why they're taking more punishment than giving it? I think that's it. Listen, Ohio State's athletes are bigger and stronger. That's strength and conditioning, right?
Yeah.
Very fair.
We just seem to have a lot of soft tissue injuries and stuff like that. I question if there might be some issues with maybe flexibility training and stuff like that might not be as big of a focus and help to limit that type of thing.
Good friend of the show, Nick Hitchen, says, I'm with Justin, question everything on the staff at this point. Like I said, I think it's a fair question. I think it's hard to know for sure. But I do think bigger athletes, the stronger and more physical you are, the less likely you are to get hurt, which is why when you play Ohio State, you get a bunch of people hurt because they're all monsters, right? This is a good question. We'll all kind of roundtable through this one kind of quick. Are you guys out on Blas as a coach?
Yes. Yes, I am out on Blas as a coach. Look, I think that there were several times where we talked about his recruiting, and I think that he's brought in some decent guys in the last couple of classes. I think that our O-line recruiting has been pretty bad recently before him, so I give him credit for that. However, literally, as I said at the top of the show during my talk about the O-line, if this O-line would have been playing the whole time, we would be better off. So right off the bat, he did a very poor job in his construction of his room and starting the right guys. I mean, Ryan, we've talked about this before. You saw Davis Heinzen was not very good at left tackle in camp. And every person who was at that practice had the same thing. He didn't make that change. And then you haven't seen enough of a growth with the fact that you've got Malman, Brunner, and Renfro on that line. That should be performing better. I think at this point, you have to be critical of him as a coach.
I certainly am. I'm out. And the reason why I'll say is that I'm just not seeing, we did not seem to have a valid plan coming out of fall camp. And there are things that you could have worked on during fall camp to have answers to your questions. And it doesn't seem like we worked on any of those things. And I put that squarely on that position coach, because it's your job to find the best setup for that offensive line. And I don't feel like we came into the season with it. And I feel like it's something that should have been addressed before, game 3 of the season against Alabama. It was a massive, failure on his part to not have that in his head. And it's your job to be able to evaluate these guys on whether they're ready, whether they're qualified to play the position that they're at.
Yeah, I'm out as well. If we are in concurrence across the board, and by the way, the chat is mostly as well, and the chat is where the smart people in this community reside, not necessarily on this panel right here. If we're pretty much in unison that the biggest issue on what is maybe the worst offense in Power 4 is the offensive line, how can you not look at the offensive line coach? I mean, it's not personal. It's not personal. I actually really like him as a person, but just watch the film. You go before the season, and one of my biggest criticisms was, why are you waiting till week 2 or 3 to switch everybody around? That should have been done in camp. And if you do that in camp, you're better in weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4 and going forward. It's just as simple as that. Now, I will caveat it with, maybe was Grimes the one who didn't want to do that switch? I don't exactly know. But if the offensive line is the biggest issue, you have to look at the guy who's the architect of the offensive line, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And I almost don't know if it's even a question at this point. A big picture question here, guys. I saw it come up in one of the chats. I don't know if it was starred or not. Does this significantly move the needle for you guys? From where you were before the Ohio State game, in one way or the other, is just another in a data point that continues to fall in line with what you expect at this point? Is this worse? Is this better? Is this big picture after Ohio State?
My needle point was already to this man does not need to be our coach. I am squarely still in that category. I think that we are not getting better. We have regressed. And frankly, it's only getting worse. Our points per game total is going down. My goodness, it's been horrendous all season. I think that this is a failing coaching staff in many ways, and not just in more ways than one. Everywhere you look, you see regression in a program. You see everything that Barry Alvarez built and was continued by Bielema and Anderson and Christ. And now it's the lowest point we've ever seen. And someone's got to take the blame for that. And that blame falls squarely on Luke Fickell. I said it after the Maryland game. I'll say it again. I was out on him then, and I continue to be out on him now. Get that man out of this team.
Yeah, I was already at fire him. I'm rapidly getting to the point of, you need to start looking up the ladder at the people who are making decisions on this. We heard some news that he might be the guy next year. And I look at that, if that's the case, I look at that as somebody who's worked in corporate America the bulk of my life. I've seen stupid managers, and I look at it from the standpoint of, you made a dumb decision and now you're doubling down on it because you don't want to admit you were wrong. And that's what this feels like to me. If you hold on to him into next year and potentially just throw more resources at him, you're missing the forest through the trees. The issue here is, there's enough resources there for you to see some growth and some development, and for this team not to be a total train wreck. And it is. So all you're going to do is get a better version of a crap coach team if you do that. And I'm to the point where I'm just like, Mac needs to go. If we need to get rid of the chancellor, which won't happen because she stands for more than just sports, then I almost think that she needs to go. But the fact that people are not seeing this for what it is infuriating to me, because I look at it and this is common sense. Like, this is the easiest decision you could have right now is, listen, we're year 3, we're regressing. There is no growth. And I get the fact that there's some injuries, but that doesn't excuse the fact that every position group outside of the quarterback position does not seem better. And you're 3 years in. And so at that point, I need to look at it and just be like, that means you as a whole just suck. Like, this is not working. So stop with this. We're like making us feel like we're wrong for having this perspective, and just get rid of your ego and your arrogance and acknowledge the fact that, hey, we made a bad choice. I'm going to adjust and I'm going to move on, and we're going to recalibrate and move forward, because every one of us just wants to see this get better. And it's super frustrating when we get treated almost like we don't know what we're talking about.
I think that still could happen at the end of the year. So there's certainly no guarantee he is the coach next season. I do think it's going to go the rest of this year. I think it's a bit of an audition, whatever you'd call it, for both him and the UW administration, right? They're going to have to be tested to see how much backlash they want to absorb and what they're willing to kind of put up with as well. And at the end of the year, there's going to be decisions to be made. I think the staff, I can tell you right now, I think the administration is looking for a reason to keep him. So if you see Sparks the rest of this year, he's probably your guy in 26. I think that's just is what it is.
I will say this. I think it's incredibly short-sighted, and I think they're going to see it in the spring when ticket sales start coming up for the new year. And they're going to be shocked and be like, oh my, our numbers really regressed. What's going on? And it's going to be like, yeah, the fact that you didn't pay attention to the secondary market and acknowledge the fact that ticket prices are nosediving right now, and that scans are probably the lowest they've been in like 10 years or longer than that. I know they weren't doing scans, but like attendance is probably the lowest point it's been since, pre-Barry? You think it's been that long since we've had this seasons where people are just so like don't see it and feel like it's a waste of their time? Because you have people who legitimately own tickets now that are like, I have a better use for my time on a Saturday, then I'll just eat the cost.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to get into more of that later too. I do think in the offseason, people will again. There's the hope. Hope always springs eternal. I'll say that to some degree. I do want to throw this comment up here though, because Brandon Fisher said Previn Flood, Luke Fickell said Christian Allegro broke his arm in the first quarter, put a cast on it, and played every snap after he came back in. Hell yeah! I mean, more of that. Like more guys like that, please. I know, Rajiv, you're a big CA guy as well. That's a real one right there.
I mean, the dude is fantastic. The dude just fights. He does everything right. He does everything to help this team win. And if we had a team of Christian Allegros, we'd be in a hell of a lot better spot.
I kind of wonder what his mom's thinking that, having met her, what she's thinking about that.
They're probably proud, right? It's an arm.
Maybe you're proud. Maybe you're real worried about him putting his body in precarious situation.
We're going to see a lot of Mason Post and Cooper Catalano. That's interesting to see now.
Justin, I do want to give you an opportunity to respond to this. Michael said, Justin said Grimes would be a game changer. We talked a little bit about the quarterback injuries. Listen, it's not optimal. Quarterback injuries, offensive line. But why do you think Grimes hasn't been able to maybe pull his part of this?
I think for better or worse, he had coherent talent for most of the places other than one bad year at Baylor where their offensive line was a train wreck there. And the results were similar during that. So maybe we should have taken that. But we didn't think that the offensive line was in this bad a condition coming into the season. We thought that there was more stability there than what we're seeing this year. And I will tell you this, he's not going to look good as an offensive coordinator without a good offensive line. His entire offense is predicated on being able to run the football. And if he can't do it, then it's useless. He hasn't been good enough, though. I will freely admit that. So I was wrong. This has been a train wreck, and I don't see it getting better. But I will also say I don't know how much better the play calling really changes much if the offensive line's not executing. You're not going to run the ball well, and in the passing game, the quarterback's going to have somebody in his lap every time.
I'll take this one. Ryan is a ton fire Fickle. I've been consistent on this. I don't think an in-season firing makes sense for a ton of reasons, which I've gone into. I do think discussions have to happen in the offseason. So, but no, I don't think in-season firing makes sense. I've said that consistently. I don't think that helps anything. I And I can completely get the counterpoint too. 100% get the counterpoint that Rajiv and Justin have made as well. But I don't think in season makes sense because I don't think you have anybody that can step up and take this role, especially before Oregon. I think you definitely would at least wait until after that.
That's fine.
Guys, I know we're getting at about 40 minutes, but I want to give you guys opportunity, last thoughts, anything else that we didn't hit on that you guys want to hit on. And then if there's any other comments, Mike, that you think that we missed that you really want to put up here, feel free to address them, throw those up here as well.
Yeah, what I'll say is we've got next week is going to be like today. We're not going to score. We're probably not going to score any points. And we got a bye week after that. I'm always going to root for this program. As much as I want Luke Fickell to be gone, and I do not want him to coach this team next year, I really hope in the last 4 games we can find something that gives us something to be excited about. Obviously, we know the end of the game, the end of the season, that is our Super Bowl at this point. We would love to win the Axe in Minnesota, which would be great. Hopefully we have a healthy Billy Edwards for the last 4, which I'm expecting because I know he's improving and, unless he decides he wants to take a medical record and transfer, whatever. But like, if he's healthy and those last 4, I'm not saying they're winnable games because they're going to be very difficult, but they're more winnable than Ohio State and Oregon. And if we can, now we see the O-line improving. Hopefully Rico's not out. I mean, I know that the secondary is going to be a mess. Hopefully Tressel can do some things. To me, that's the season, those 4 games. Just like I'm a diehard Badger fan at heart. Like we all are. If you're listening to this, you're a Badger fan. Like I just want to I want to have something to cheer about. I want to be excited. And I really hope that we can do something in those last 4 games with a healthy quarterback because we haven't seen a healthy quarterback for almost 3 years. So let's have a little bit of that. Let's see what this offense can do. Let's see what Grimes can do. That's your audition, as you said. Like you want to stay here next year. You want to do something. You have 4 games to prove that. Let's see what happens.
See, and I look at this, and Ryan, you said it kind of earlier. They're looking for a reason to keep him. I don't want to give them incentive to keep him because I don't trust the competency of the people above him to make real decisions and look at this from a rational, logical perspective that a win isn't a big deal and it doesn't change the fact that this isn't working.
So what does that mean you want to see? What do you actually want to see in the last 4 then?
I think at this point, for the sake of me not trusting them to be smart enough to make a decision if they win a game, I want them to lose out simply so that they'll do the damn job and get rid of him. Because I think what will happen is they're going to punish us for him winning a game and force us to have to deal with him as coach next year. So because it will be like, see, we got better. We won a game. Because I don't think there's a lot of intelligence in that group. I just think there's some arrogance associated with all this that I don't trust. And I look at it from the perspective of I can't trust you to make a real intelligent decision on this. So I have to spell it out to you in as clear of terms as humanly possible that this isn't working. You need to move on. But that's not going to probably happen with them winning a game. I would love to see them get the Axe back. I would love to see them be capable and be competitive in the remainder of the games. But I feel like that will be like they're misguided enough that I think that they'll look at that as a way to rationalize their decision.
I will never cheer for losses. And I understand where your perspective is, Justin. I understand where your perspective is there 100%. And you have Bo Dragan on your side for better or worse. He says, Justin's on my side. I'm never going to do that because there's only so few games you get as a college football fan. And there's also players in this program like Christian Allegro who are breaking their arm and going back and out there and playing. There's guys like Agard who are still fighting. There's guys like Hilton who are just getting out there for the first snaps. I'm not going to root for losses. I think there's I 100% get your perspective. And I know it's not because you like seeing this team lose.
No, okay? I'm so angry with these losses. It's insane.
I get it. But I'm still not going to root for losses because you can still beat Minnesota. And then if you still want to make the best decision in the offseason, make the best decision. But you're still beating Minnesota. You're still getting the Axe. That still matters. That's still a big deal to a lot of people in state. And it's a big deal to a lot of players in that locker room that are still playing hard.
I respect the hell out of them for that, Ryan. But my point is nothing to do with them. It has to do with I can't trust the people to look at it from a pragmatic standpoint above them and say, it's great that you went out on a high note, and I love seeing these players play hard, but this isn't good enough. And until I can trust them to have that perspective on things and be rational enough and look at it from perspective of, is this good for this program long term, I have to look at it in the mindset of, I don't trust you to make decisions without it being as clear as humanly possible for you.
You cannot trust them to make the decision, but they're still going to make the decision they're going to make. They're going to make that whether they. Honestly, they're probably going to keep him if they win. If we lose out, they're still going to probably keep him. And
that's on them. Then they look like they're idiots, and they should be fired for their job. And it would be with cause, because you could look at it and say you're underperforming. You're not worth keeping in this position because you're not holding any level of accountability for failure with the people, with your subordinates. So why am I keeping you here when you're clearly not a manager that's capable of running this program at a high level?
I mean, this university is far bigger than athletics. So, Manukin is not there for athletics. She's not, that's nothing to do with the academics of the university. Like, that's
I can understand that.
This is about Chris McIntosh, and it's about the board of regents trust in Luke and Chris McIntosh and Luke Fickle. And if they don't want to pay that money, they're not going to pay it. But like, I want to see us win every game that we play, including the last 4. And if that means Luke Fickle keeps his job because of that, at least I got to celebrate the last 4 wins. I'll take that. And people disagree with me, that's okay. But like, I want to win all those games.
Would we not expect competent coaching if that's the case over the last how many games?
Listen, even if we lose the last 4 games, I'm still going to tell you that I want Luke Fickle fired. I want Luke Fickle fired regardless of what happens, but I still want us to win the games.
So Zachary Ryan says, love your show, Ryan. Watch every video. First of all, thank you. Awesome. But you were lost when it comes to when to fire coaches. The NFL does it all the time. Are you saying they do it wrong? The NFL does tons of stuff wrong. Like, I will say this: a lot of NFL programs get stuff wrong. And I will also say this: Rajiv and I were on "Don't Fire Greg Gard" when a lot of people were yelling to fire Greg Gard. A lot of people, including Justin, were kind of get rid of Gard. So not Rajiv and I. Listen. I understand people are saying I'm missing the forest for the trees. I understand Justin's point perfectly. I understand that. If you lose out, you put more pressure on the university, which can force change. And if potentially you win a couple games and you don't think he's the guy, that could lead to them keeping him. I'm telling you, it could happen either way. But I just care too much about this program, some of these players in here, to want them to lose every single game, get booed every single game. I want them to have something. I want them to have a win. I want my son who's watching games with me to get a win. And he could win a game or two and still lose. This program could still move on this offseason. It's not like if he wins a game or two, he's locked in. But I understand Justin's point too. It's a perfectly reasonable point. This show is never about I'm wrong and he's right or vice versa. I totally get that point. It's very reasonable and it's understandable.
Yeah, and also like I think that I just I think about the recruiting sense of it too. Like, if we win a couple of games here, does that keep some of the guys maybe that we want to keep on the roster for next year? Potentially that's a byproduct of getting a couple wins too, right? Whether Fickle leaves or not is not up to us. Obviously, it's up to the administration, but I think that I want to do whatever's possible to keep the guys we want to keep on this team. And there are a lot of guys we want to keep on this team, or at least that I do. So maybe getting a couple wins at the end will help with that as well.
I want to once again say thank you, Mike. We had a couple comments in here thanking Mike. I want to try to find one. Which I lost now. But again, Mike is awesome. He's coordinating everything on the back end. So appreciate him for sure. Mitch James says we have no one to replace Fickle. I agree with that kind of as well. Guys, we'll wrap up there. We're at 50 minutes. We got 500 people in here, which is incredible. Nick Bode says, thanks, Mike behind the mic. He's always here helping us do our reaction shows. Greg Linsticum, great friend of the show, said, good job, Mike. It's tough, guys. Like, I think ultimately one thing we can all agree on is this is frustrating and it stinks. And this isn't where we want to be. It's where nobody wants to be. So I think we're all on the same page there. Keep the vibes with each other in the community good. Don't turn on each other. Oh, I'll say one more thing, and then I promise I'll be done. And I'll kick it over to Rajiv and Justin for any last words. People could disagree with this. I just got to say this. Don't take this out on the people that don't deserve it to be taken out on. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about when you see a recruit post like happy birthday to a recruit, just don't bash that kid for choosing Wisconsin. There was there was a player who's coming up to Wisconsin this week. He's like, should I pull up to watch the game? And this is a player committed, like Jaden Petit. And everyone said, run away, don't come. Like, guys, don't
was that? I thought that was Jaden Reed, one of the Packers receivers.
I think it was Petit.
Was it? Okay. I thought it said Jaden Reed on that thing. But maybe
but even if it wasn't, there was another player who just committed to the Badgers, Yahya Gad. And he's like, I'm home, I'm committed. And all it was negative responses to a high school kid who just committed to the Badgers.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
By the way, he could be part of the next group. Like, whether or not Fickle's here or not, he likes Wisconsin. just be kind to the people that have nothing to do with this losing streak, which includes recruits, which includes other people. It's not their fault.
Yeah. What I'll dovetail on that. Listen, the players are every bit as frustrated. They put a far more effort into all of this than any of us do as fans. So they don't deserve your wrath. If they're not winning, they're not winning. That's fine. Coaching staff, I feel like, has earned the criticism at this point. But the players, they're busting their tails to be college football players. I think we need to give them a little bit of grace with some of this, because I'm sure this has been a really tough season for them. And as frustrated as we are and as angry as we are at the results we're seeing, they don't deserve personal attacks.
Agreed. Never make it personal. Rajiv, I've finished. I'm no more. I'll just keep talking if someone doesn't cut me off. I'll let you take us out here.
I just want to say we're less than a week away from the first exhibition game of basketball season. And basketball full season starts November 3rd. So let's go Greg Gard. Let's go Wisconsin basketball. Give us something to cheer about.
That's it. Great way to take it out on Wisconsin. Appreciate every single person for dialing into this. Good luck to your NFL teams tomorrow. For everybody watching this, good luck to your NFL teams tomorrow. And we will definitely talk later on Wisconsin.